In 45, you bring up a point compared to humans, which you brought up in a theoretical way earlier on, about low population density seems to have a positive effect on the early cessation of aging. Please explain this a bit more.
Well, the finding I'm talking about in 45, which I've referred to already, is one of the most counterintuitive of all of the findings of the research that Larry Muller and I have conducted over the last 15 years on the cessation of aging. Basically, this insight is motivated by the fact that in human beings we have a very long aging phase compared even to our very long developmental period. We have a long developmental period, and then even relative to that long developmental period, we have a very long period in which aging continues, and we get worse and worse every decade. If our aging scaled the way the aging of the fruit flies in my lab for most of my population scales, it would all be over by the age of 45 or 50. And that would be basically as bad as you would get on average in terms of your ability to survive or reproduce. But instead, we go on for another bloody 45 or 55 years of advancing decrepitude, and it's appalling. And therefore, I was thinking, well, why should this be so? And one of the factors in why my kind of populations stop aging so early is we turn natural selection off pretty early in my lab, because that's how we deliberately arrange it for at least some of these populations. And that in turn connects to the result, because as I was saying right at the beginning of the 55, there are a whole bunch of things which basically turn off the effectiveness of natural selection. One of them is a whole lot of really bad mutations. Another one is inbreeding, and this one is related to inbreeding in that, at the limit, a very small effective population size means inbreeding.
Yes.
So basically, most of the laboratory populations that I keep and cultivate have relatively small population sizes. So that's part of why their aging is going to stop as quickly as it does. Well, our ancestral human populations similarly had relatively small effective population sizes. And it's important to understand what this concept means. Right now, the entire human species is one population, thanks to jet travel. We could, and the internet, we could in effect fall in love on the internet with someone who lives 5,000 miles away, make a plan to marry, fly to a agreed upon destination, get married and have children, assuming the opposite gender and the roughly right age range.
It happens.
There you go.
It happens.
And, of course, it's now happening.
Yeah.
So we are now one population, okay? So 20,000 years ago, the opposite was the case. 20,000 years ago, before any type of civilization, before roads, before we rode on horses, before we had chariots, before any of that stuff, the number of people you could possibly mate with would be the number of people that you could walk to in the course of your lifetime.
I've heard a number of 500.
Yeah, and the numbers vary, and I have colleagues who work on these numbers, but they are very, very substantially smaller than present-day human populations. They are, in fact, more like the population sizes of the Drosophila, the fruit flies that I work with in my laboratory. Therefore, my inference from Larry Muller's theoretical work on this question is that their aging in the past naturally stopped in what we now call middle age, and very excitingly, that those people who still basically have the genomes of such individuals, which are now only relictual populations, isolated populations in wild areas, that they too may effectively stop aging in what we now call middle age.
Okay. So this is good. If I was a First Nation person, this would be an opportunity that might be open to me here.
Specifically Inuit, I would say.
Yeah.
You're pure-blood Inuit. You lead an Inuit lifestyle. Your aging might well stop in your 50s. And that is radical.
Yeah. Thanks.